Welcome, Aquarius, to your in-depth weekly astrology overview and zodiac forecast for week commencing the 22nd of June for the ascendant, the sun, or the moon. Going to share the big themes of the week ahead first. On screen is your event chart as we go into the week. I'll unpack that for you. It's always influential. I'll then go through each of the influences frame by frame to give you a clear picture of what's upcoming in terms of your vitality, work, relationships, and finances. Last week ended with the solstice. This week begins with a quarter moon. The sun, newly arrived in the practical Cancer for you, clashing with the moon in the freedom loving ninth house. How will that play out? We've also got this week Jupiter, which has been in the sign of Cancer for 13 months, is now supported beautifully by Mars, just as they're both about to go into new homes. Jupiter will be next week, but Mars is at the end of this week. But that shift is going to be particularly powerful for you, but in a very dynamic and positive way. But what will they bring for you this week as they align? Now, Neptune's known as the planet of mystery, can certainly be brilliant when it comes to shaping our dreams and our creativity, but it is in a square with the sun this week. What's the impact of that? And then as the week draws to a close, Mars is going to move into Gemini, but be very, very close to your modern ruler, Uranus. How's that going to feel? So on the screen now, Aquarius, is your event chart. So the sun moving into the sign of Cancer, we know it's protective. We know it can be very nurturing. We know it can be very much to do with our emotion. We know it can be to do with the home. The sixth house is asking us to perhaps be a little bit more disciplined. And particularly as far as our daily routines, it may be to get a bit more exercise. It may be to think more about where we use our energy and perhaps where we could use it more productively. But the sixth house can also be about obligations. Now, Jupiter's in that area, and that may have seen you over the last 13 months actually come up with some brilliant ideas of how to work or provide services. And that link with Mercury at the moment is very strong. Now, they're supported by Mars this week, but I feel what the sun is saying to you, if there are a number of things that you want to achieve this week, and perhaps they're more for you rather than perhaps what you know you should be doing, that can create a conflict with that quarter moon. So you may have to prioritize a little bit about the things you do need to do, your obligations, and where you might get a bit more personal freedom, which is always important to Aquarius people. But just one other footnote about the start of the week. Look at that grand air trine. The moon, Pluto, and Uranus, absolutely dazzling. If ever there was a time where you could apply your fresh ideas and innovation, even to practical strands, it's certainly this week. But what we also have this week is your traditional ruler, Saturn, forging a great link with Venus as the week goes on. You could have an important conversation this week, which really makes you feel a lot more sure of one particular alliance. It doesn't have to be a romantic one. It could be with a colleague, a line manager, could be with a friend. But those solid citizens in our lives, someone like that is going to show up for you strongly at the heart of this week, which can be very gratifying. Now, of course, Chiron moved into that fourth house last week, and that's along a story which is going to evolve over many years, but initially over the next 3 months. But that linked to the sun and also to the North Node at the start of this week. You can see they're all in practical houses. Pardon me, the sun's in the practical house and the North Node, and Chiron in the fourth house, more emotional. So at the root of your chart, if you're getting things more grounded, I think that's a very good thing. But then Mars speeds up. It's coming into a brilliant sextile with both these guys. It can be very energized. If you want to make changes at home, this gives you a lot of spark and a lot of motivation to do it. It's just Neptune. Neptune squares off to the sun. And suddenly, just when you're trying to do everything that much better or more efficiently, or perhaps more virtuously, Neptune can start to just eat away at your motivation to be a good to be a good person, whether it's not eating foods that aren't particularly good for you, getting that exercise. So you could get challenged a bit at the heart of this week, but then Mars can override that, I feel, if you keep that positive mindset. And then as we get to the end of the week, Mars moves into Gemini. It does T-square the nodal axis, as Uranus is going to do through to the end of July. So what's that about? Well, the fifth house is about where you're going to manifest your charisma, and Mars is certainly going to add to your sex appeal in the following 6 weeks. But the second house node is about values, and it can be about money. The South Node is perhaps the things that you've retreated into over the last 18 months if you don't have these nodes natally. And I think that Mars joining Uranus could make you really quite wanted to do something with a bit of devilment as the week draws to a close. That could be to smash and cash. It might be to be naughty in whichever way calls out to you. But that could rock that more virtuous energy that's manifesting in the sign of Cancer, which is asking you to, just be in touch with your feelings, keep it all steady, Eddie. And that is an important opportunity. But I think Mars and Uranus really can test you as the week draws to a close. I'm going to summarize those 4 areas of vitality, work, relationships, and finances next, Aquarius. Just before I do, I've reduced the price of my personal horoscope reports. It's now 3 for the price of 1. Before, for many years, it was buy 2, get 30% off. The one you pay for is your life roadmap. That really helps us to navigate this journey the best way we possibly can. Free, your unique 12-month forecast and your unique draconic soul analysis, which can look at your chart, life, and astrology in a very different way. Please see below for more. If you've yet to watch my solstice Deep Energy Shift 3-month forecast or your Gemini new moon video, if you click on the eye on the screen, the information eye, that will take you through to those. If you'd like to work with me one-to-one, it'd be an absolute pleasure. Please see my testimonials below. And if you've yet to sign up for your free daily written horoscope, find your device each morning, you can do that too. So to summarize, as far as energy is concerned, the sun gives you a lot of prospects this week to improve that, but you do need discipline. It could be tested not just by the quarter moon, which can be distracting because you don't really want to do those virtuous things. But I think Neptune can just certainly really affect your motivation later in the week. But Mars is kind of pushing you to dig deep into your inner emotional resources to keep going with the changes you're making. If you're not happy in your work, this combination of energies says it's a great time to apply for a job. Relationships, if one's going well, Venus in that fabulous link to Saturn will just bring more stability to it. In an existing tie, being mindful of who does and contributes what on the domestic front to get a better balance, that can also create goodwill. If you're single, however, I feel that that link between the moon, Pluto and Uranus at the start of the week and Venus in that 7th house, it's about as good as it gets. And as the week draws to a close, I think you may find yourself in the mood to go out, connect, do something daring, really live a little bit on the wild side. It's been a real pleasure being with you, Aquarius. Have a great week. All the best and goodbye for now.